Hola amigos, Johnny here. I'm on the island of Madeira, and today my friends and I are hiking the sixth most popular rank trail in all of Europe, and it's called Pico de Arieiro to Pico Ruivo. This is just incredible and unbelievable drone footage that we captured. And trust me, this hike will forever be etched in my memory. And in fact, that guy that you see walking and waving there in the black shirt, that's me. So on Saturday morning, my friend Derek and his wife Maria Renee and my friend Craig and his wife Mandy picked me up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we first set foot on the mountain at 8 a.m. When we got there, it was freezing cold, windy, cloudy, and it looked like the day was just going to be terrible. Even though the weather conditions were pretty poor at the outset of the hike, during the first hour, it was still unbelievable. Even though we were in the clouds, you could actually see maybe 50 feet in front of you, and at some times where the steps were just so treacherous on the left or right side, with maybe a 3,000 foot drop off, it made things just a little less perilous. You could actually see the clouds blow by us and maybe even hear the wind as well, and potentially even feel the cold that we felt. This is a hike of about 1 million steps. I'm not kidding, no joke. Um, but it's actually listed at 6.7 miles, and with all of the up and down and climbing of stairs and relentless up and down, your knees are going to hate you at the end, but during the hike, your mind will be pleased and full. Normally, if you just speed through the hike, it could be done anywhere between 5 to 6 hours. But we took our time and we stopped several times for drone footage and just for resting and just taking in the unbelievable beauty of the hike. And it took us a total of 11 hours. Yeah, that's right. I said it, 11-hour round trip. Windy and wet, very slick.
Wow. Out of one and right back into another.
In places along this hike, these paths were carved right out of the mountain. And if you're more than 6 feet tall, you better have a great sense of balance when you're ducking under them. And when we finally got to the turnaround point, Pico Ruivo, it was totally cloud covered on top of the Miradoro, or the lookout point there. So we ate lunch in the clouds. And after lunch, that was the biggest decision for me, as I had to decide if I wanted to continue the hike or I could call it quits and just take a cab back, because I wasn't sure how I was feeling in terms of my knees, and secondly, with the cloud coverage, how the views would be. But something inside me told me to push on, and I am so glad I did. Within 20 minutes after lunch, the warmth of the midday sun burned off the thick shroud of fog, revealing the most incredible views. There was beauty as far as the eye can see. Rugged peaks and valleys covered in a lush green forest, untouched by man except for this amazing trail. Walking through the tunnels was completely surreal. Some were dark enough and quite long enough that headlamps were definitely required. Some were wet, some were dry, some with vegetation, and some just dry rocks. But one thing they all had in common was they all left us anticipating the light at the end of the tunnel. Yup, pun intended. It seemed as though each time we exited a tunnel, the views just grew more spectacular. Hiking on those 1 to 2 foot narrowly carved out cliff edges seemed a bit perilous at times, but I will admit that as dangerous as it was, the trail was very well maintained, and those thin poles with the sturdy, thick, plastic-covered wire, they actually did provide a small semblance of a sense of comfort and reassurance. This section of the trail is known as the Stairway to Heaven. And if you remember on our initial hike out, it was so cloudy that we couldn't even see it looking like you see it now. And it's actually one of the most treacherous and iconic parts of the hike. You can see looking at the stone steps climbing high above the clouds and disappearing into the blue. It's quite easy to understand how it got its name. So after the Stairway to Heaven, once we started ascending above the clouds, I absolutely knew I made the right decision to hike the second half. And in fact, once the clouds were below us, we all just looked at each other in complete silence. And while we were completely above the clouds, We took our time and we just savored every breathtaking moment. The views were spectacular, just gorgeous, and the adrenaline kept pouring in, so we just slowed our pace even a bit more, just to make sure that we absorbed every moment and view that we possibly could. These views above the clouds, this was the payoff. This is what we waited for. Canceling other planned days to do the hike, waiting for the right weather, we did it. Whoa, just enjoy this magnificent beauty, will you? Hiking on Madeira Island was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. The never-ending beauty along the famous Pico de Areeiro Pico Ruivo trail was just simply breathtaking. And I can't thank my friends Maria Renee and Derek enough for turning me on to this fantastic hiking adventure that I'm going to remember long after the soreness in my legs dissipates. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ciao, ciao from Madeira.